They think they're better than we are, and they want the world to run the way they think it should be run. Typically, when people do this, the world collapses and people die.
Right.
But, ideologues and zealots tend not to care because they think they're right.
How did Donald Trump get elected? A lot of people try to take credit for that.
Meme magic.
Well, yes, but there's a core of that. The powers that be, whatever you want to call it, the establishment, the council, Siggy.
Ziggy?
Siggy, C-I-G-I-E.
Oh, I thought you were making a Quantum Leap reference.
No, they're actually they're codified. That goes backwards in the censorship industrial complex. They act outside of the Constitution. That's a whole different animal. That's what they don't want me to go into. Look into it sometime. C-I-G-I-E, right?
Mm-hmm. I think we have talked about that before.
Yeah. What's his name? Greg Stentrum, I think, wrote an article that Roger Stone pushed forward, and I mean, it's just like, whoa! It ties it all together as to how this is the effectively what the establishment is. But they were not prepared, right? 2016 election. I was one of the monsters out there in Facebook that was pushing, right? The memes, the meme war, and whatever. And we effectively made Trump's position simple. With memes. It's very, very simple concepts.
Right, like don't eat the cats.
Exactly. Don't eat the cats, don't eat the dogs. I love that song. But the thing that they were not prepared for, and I'll sort of put this in a framework here, is that they were not prepared for what social media does, which it connects the candidate to the electorate. There's no filter anymore.
Right. I mean, that's what everybody loved about Trump in 2016. In that election. And that's also what everybody loved about him during his presidency. And that's also the reason that you have Democrats complaining about misinformation, because they're essentially complaining about Trump.
Correct. And it goes to what Tim's saying is they're trying to get it back to that system because they don't control it anymore. Right. And he got so ahead of them, they weren't prepared for when it came election day, and all of a sudden the guy won.
This is why they
didn't know what to do.
This is why they raided Kim.com in New Zealand, a man who had never set foot in the United States, who ran a business out of Hong Kong, who complied with the law. They went and arrested him, and they are now planning to extradite him on all of these charges. I mean, over a decade later.
To the United States?
To the U.S.
Even though he's never once been here?
Yep. So the story of Mega
Why
Upload.
is Australia doing that?
Or the UK is going to start trying to.
Because they're vassal states of the American hegemonic authority.
Yeah.
So Kim.com starts a company called Mega Upload. Maybe everybody remembers. And it was a website where you could upload files and store them. Very, very important for businesses. Like people use Google Drive and other file lockers.
Dropbox or whatever, yeah.
Right. And Dropbox, is that what you said?
Yeah.
So Kim.com makes this site, and what happens? People start pirating on it. They upload movies, post the links, and then anybody can watch the movie on Mega Upload. Kim.com gets told to remove these things. Whenever he does, he says, we'll take them down. Like, we make money as a file locker. People can upload pictures and memes and their content. We're good. We don't need to have piracy. They start removing it. But it's too much. People all over the world are pirating faster than the company can actually deal with it, despite the fact that Kim.com says they actually took all of it down. They were working. One day, filmed. You get New Zealand authorities, I don't know, the MPA movie industry. You see dudes with guns raiding his home to arrest him. He gets run through the ringer. They destroy his business, which didn't even operate in the United States. And now they've been trying to extradite him the whole time because he created something that broke the control operation of American cultural economics, like cultural exports, as well as control of the narrative and otherwise. It then gets replaced by the machine states version, which they can't control. Right. And they're still trying to they've destroyed the guy's life, basically. Not that he's living as bad as, say, like, somebody who's poor living on the streets or anything like that. But they have tried to make an example of a guy who stumbled upon something. It's not like he was an evil guy who twirled his mustache and said, I'm going to destroy the industry. He's like, I made a company. Look what I did. Mm-hmm. And then they were like, we don't like that you did that. Whether it was bad intent or otherwise, you are an affront to the system. Mm.
I didn't know his backstory. I've spoken with him several times with Twitter Spaces and so forth, and we go back and forth. I don't think he quite gets the magnitude of what this is. I mean, I think you all do.
I think if the state was concerned that hundreds of billions of dollars were being lost due to piracy because of Mega Upload,
right,
and they felt the only way to deal with it was to shut it down, they didn't have to destroy the guy's life, arrest him. They could have just said, "Look, man, it's a machine for piracy, whether you want it to be or not." But why they're trying to destroy his life just seems mean. Like,
well, they like destroying people's lives. Look, they were trying to destroy James O'Keefe's life, Douglas Mackey's life. Well,
maybe they don't want these subversive, these individuals are deviant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They don't want somebody who is powerful, capable, intelligent, and who is, I mean, the mentality may be, look, we stop this guy now, but he's a smart guy. He's going to figure out something else later on that we're going to have to deal with. Just shut him down now.
Right.
That may be the thing they're.
Well, that's exactly what it is with Trump. Is
right.
He got ahead of them, right? They didn't expect the electorate to connect. He got ahead of them. He wins the election. They have to say, okay, fine. But then the entire government underneath him, all the intelligence community and so forth, they got to work on what was effectively the election integrity partnership.
Right.
That was purely to get him out. This entire, like everybody underneath him was trying to get him out. And they did that for the 2020. And, we won't talk about whether or not that was, but it was one of those, yeah, right, okay. But that's just it, is they got to get that connection severed. They can't have us talking about it. And that's like you were talking about the obelisk. They don't want other ones to rise, because sane people will rise to the top, the ones that have the better arguments. But the problem is that conflicts with their arguments. And that's at the core of what the disinformation does in cases were about.
I can put it another way. Let's say you're a chicken farmer, and you've got,
I am technically, but,
and you got 50 chickens all hanging out doing their chicken business. What do you want of the chickens? I want them to eat the food when I give them the food, lay the eggs. I'll collect them every morning. But what if there's one rooster that keeps pecking other roosters and causing problems and hurting the hens? You remove him. You say, that behavior is not allowed in my chicken city. Gone. What if it's a chicken that keeps escaping? Well, we don't want that one having babies, because the chickens are going to get out and they're going to die. They're defying our rules and the confines we've created for them. So we're going to eat that one. This is how they view the system in a sense. Mm-hmm. Someone like Kim.com or, Alex Jones, these are the individuals who completely find ways through the system to succeed in ways that are outside what they're trying to make happen. Yep. The difference is we're not chickens. We're all humans. We are peers, and they think they're better than we are, and they want the world to run the way they think it should be run. Typically, when people do this, the world collapses and people die.
Right.
But, ideologues and zealots tend not to care because they think they're right. But I do want to say, as we've got a few minutes left, one thing to add, that if there is anything that I have ever experienced that has made me believe in a higher power or in something greater than myself, it is the mini doc that was produced online about meme magic getting Donald Trump elected. If you guys have not seen this, I really recommend. I don't know how to find it. It's a short video that was made on YouTube years ago talking about meme magic that got Donald Trump elected, and I'll give you a few of the points. In World of Warcraft, the video game, 2006, it was very popular. There are two factions, the Horde and the Alliance. How does the game work? You sign up, you choose a faction, you choose one of the races within each faction. The principal races are human and orc, but there's druid, night elves and blood elves. They added a bunch more. There's pandas now for whatever reason. But let's say in the early days, you say, I want to be a human character. You're running around the kingdom of Storm, the city of Stormwind, and you're hunting boars to get experience. You come across a Horde player as an orc. The way they made it, because they didn't want collusion between the two factions, because there's player versus player and the factions are at war, is that if you speak in the game, people will see a word bubble above your head. If you speak as a different race that has a different language, it will present gibberish, but not really gibberish. It's some kind of algorithmic alteration of the words. When somebody of an opposing faction would type LOL, the other person would see KEK, kek.
Uh-huh.
This created a meme. Young people started saying kek instead of LOL, because you'd be playing World of Warcraft, you'd see an orc and the orc would put kek and jump up and down, and you knew they were laughing at you. We knew what that word meant. There's a game called Life is Strange where in the first, I don't know about the second or third one, but in the first one, it's a story-driven game where you play as a college-age woman, young woman, and she has the ability to rewind time. In one part of the game, she's texting on like a sidekick, like old school, with this other male character, and he responds, Kek. Kek was a meme among young people. As it turns out, Kek was also the name of an Egyptian god of chaos and darkness, who is a frog.
But this was just sort of like happenstance.
Now, hold on.
I did not know the origin of this. This is great.
Well, so no one looked up the Egyptian god Kek or Keku and was like, I'm going to make this a meme. Pepe the Frog went viral. Not because someone knew that there was an Egyptian frog god, because Pepe was just a meme that someone made. And so they started sharing this frog. They started saying kek. And then people were like, this is kind of weird. Then a song went viral, Chatelet. And there's an album cover of it's a frog with doing some kind of magic or something. Someone put all this stuff together, like these weird coincidences that came together. And then people noticed actually had an analog in ancient Egyptian religious culture about chaos and dark energy or whatever. And I'm probably getting a lot wrong, but this is like the gist of it. Was absolutely insane. So on 4chan, when you make a post, there's a string of digits. I think it's 16. I could be wrong. Maybe it's not. And that's your post ID number. And so you can reference other posts by clicking that number and it brings you to it. But it'll be like 990101356. There's a thing they do as a joke where they say dubs, trips, quads, and that is if the final numbers on your ID are the same, they'll say something like, who's going to win the Super Bowl? Trips gets it right. Someone would then respond, the Chiefs, or the Ravens. And if it was 777 or 666, they'd be like, oh, it's Trips. That means it's true, as a joke. Someone posted on 4chan, Donald Trump will win, and it was all sevens. You got to watch the video breaking all this stuff down, because I remember being online at this time, seeing the memes, seeing the Pepes and all these things, and being like, this is wild. People really believed. I don't know. You can look at it a bunch of different ways. Is it magic? It could just be collective consciousness organizing around the internet, forming these ideas and sharing these jokes. Looks strange to an individual when you're looking at the greater entity that has sort of emerged through human culture. Or maybe there's dark spirits from ancient Egyptian religion who are sowing chaos or something. I have no idea. Either way, it is fascinating to see all of these weird things that happened that lined up. And some people believe the purpose of censorship is to stop the emergence of a collective conscious around these ideas. One thing that I see with it that is much more realistic than spiritual is humans will eventually create a conscious a pseudo or faux conscious entity through the internet. When we all go online and we all share things, you will eventually see all of the collective actions of information sharing and gathering and opinions come together to form some greater culture. When it was unchecked, that was kek. People were willing into existence memes, chaos, jokes, silliness, and the machine state saw this and said, there is this gigantic sphere of influence that is creating a conscious entity of chaos and silliness and disorder. We must destroy it.
It's the Tower of Babel.